Hello everyone, welcome back to the Back Post podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're talking about Chelsea getting absolutely battered by Brighton, which was not fun, not really fun that. But also we're going to talk about some other things. We're talk about the weekend's football. So of course Liverpool lost, City just about won, Tottenham also just about won, and Arsenal are still on fire, unfortunately. So that's what we're going to get into in this podcast. Yeah, what a weekend of football, eh? What another crazy weekend of football. We're going to be talking all about it. Just me and you here today. Josh is unfortunately not with us. He sent me a clip, though, of him talking, so I'll show you that just a little bit later. But we're going to start, of course, with Chelsea versus Brighton. Before I do so, though, make sure you subscribe. Like 80% of the people watching this right now who watch all of our videos aren't subscribed. That's just upsetting to me. We'd love it if you love this kind of content. We'd love it if you subscribe, though. It'd mean the world to us. We're really trying to push for 1,000 subscribers. We're going to try and get there before the World Cup. I think it's asking a lot, but who knows? We might be able to do it with the people watching. So if you do, if you like it, make sure you press subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And let's talk about Chelsea. I'm beating around the bush, and I'm getting around there. I've got to get in it, and I've got to talk about it. Oh, God. It was always going to happen, wasn't it? It was always going to happen. Come on. We was always going to lose to Brighton. God. Of course, we was going to lose to Brighton, man. Difficult game to take. First loss for Graham, actually. We're unbeaten in his last 9 or 10 games, or however long it's been. Busy October period, 11 games in October, and he didn't lose one until today. Not today, but the other day, of course, with Brighton. They were on us instantly, weren't they? I think, of course, with Graham leaving, I don't think the players would have much vengeance, but the fans did, and the fans were up for it. And they want to show what Potter's missing, and, it was sad for them to lose him mid-season, and I understand that. So that's what's going to happen there. And they got up for it, and the atmosphere was crazy, and Brighton got up for this game. The players were there and in our faces from the get-go, instantly, just on us, which is what Brighton do. You know what I mean? Brighton, this is the club, the identity of the club that Potter built, ironically, was this fluid, attacking, aggressive football, pressing us quite defensively. And to be honest, it was just, again, mistakes ruining it for us. Mistakes always seem to be our problem. Like, I feel like when we get battered, like when in the past when we've been battered in the last 4 or 5 years, it always feels like it's our fault. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always feel like we fuck it, and somehow, teams capitalise on us. And that's not to take away from Brighton, don't get me wrong, but we really fucked it. I think from the get-go, Silva having to make 2 goal line clearances, and it's difficult, right? Because was we playing West Brom? I don't think we was playing West Brom, but Thiago Silva started acting like he was playing West Brom again, because he just made a few errors that are really uncharacteristic of him, passing the ball out to the opposition player. Then obviously the brilliance of him having to get back and clear it off the line was brilliant, but he made the mistake in the first place. The second time around, I don't think it was a mistake from him, but he still had to be in the right place at the right time, get it off the line, and that was the early doors, you know what I mean? And we knew we was in trouble, and I just don't think we could get our head around that. Yeah, and I just think it's mistakes. It's just mistakes. Again, I feel like all 4 goals were from mistakes from us, defensive errors from, not covering a set piece. It's something we're really shocking at. Conceding from set pieces, I don't know what the stats are, but I bet we're high up there. For some reason, these players, these defenders, do not know how to defend a set piece. It's annoying, and 2 own goals come from that, and they're kind of avoidable, but they're kind of not as well. Like, both players, Ruben and Chalobah, both are trying to just do whatever they can to defend the ball, and it kind of just nicks it. Oh wait, no, the second one wasn't a set piece, sorry, the Chalobah one, but the Ruben one, he's just trying to get something on it, and it goes in. That's unfortunate, it really is, but it was nonetheless still difficult to take. And I think, defensively we were let down. They really could just pass through us really easily. Like, they were able just to cut the lines so clear. And I think that might have been a formation thing, to be honest. I'll go on to that in a little second. But they were honestly just so easy. We were like butter. We could just cut through us. Their attacking players are brilliant, don't we? Trossard, what a player he is. I'm sure a lot of bigger clubs will want his name on their books next season, or even not if January. because he's such a good player. The way he just cuts the lines for him was fantastic. And I think, like I said, I think it was a formation thing. I think Potter might have got it wrong again for this one. He knows Brighton more than anyone will at this very moment. And he went with a very attacking lineup. I think we had this kind of like forward midfield, like it was Kovacic, Ruben with Gallagher and Mount as like a box four midfield with Havertz in front of that, but then also wing backs entering the scene and Sterling and Pulisic. Like that's a lot of attacking players when you think about it. I think everyone but Kovacic is quite an attacking player. You know, Ruben as maybe not as much as well, but that's so many attacking players, and like he's obviously thought we need to get at them and press them, and maybe cause some sort of disruption, but they just kind of like Uno reverse carded it and pressed us and worried us, and with the lack of defenders and also the lack of like, because also you see I think Cucurella started, and Cucurella's like a left wing back kind of a left back kind of player, so he's playing centrally. He's going to get caught out. Thiago Silva, with his age, he's always going to have a few stinkers in him, and Chalobah, who has been great recently, but he's still young and adapting, could easily get caught out, and that's what happened. We just got absolutely dominated off the ball, pressed us and forced us into some errors. I think Potter after his speech said, it's some unforced errors. No, they were definitely forced, I'd say. Like the press that Brighton put on us was a lot to take. But that all this being said, like I think, talking about Brighton, how good they were, and defensively how shite we were, this game could have been different. The face of this game could have been completely different, because at 2-1 or 1-0, at 2-0 or 1-0, Gallagher/Pulisic had a perfect chance to put us ahead. Gallagher, beautiful little move, 1-2 pieces of play, something we've seen a lot during this Potter era so far, this beautiful, intricate play. Most of it has resulted in nothing at the end of it, obviously. But then it falls to Gallagher, who puts a lovely shot on. It does good enough, probably could have put it a bit higher, but instinctive hits it. Sanchez, brilliant save, and then that means it falls to Pulisic, who's in space, he's got time and a goalkeeper on the floor, and still puts it wide, and that's just not good enough. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. Completely, a winger of his calibre, or what we think his calibre should be, needs to be scoring that, and that changes the game, because going 1-0 down so early, getting that second one, like quite an unfortunate one, our mentality's rocked in it. We're shaking. I think the atmosphere's going crazy. We silence that just a tiny bit by getting that goal. Gets the fans up, gets the players up, and we go. And he just couldn't do it. He couldn't provide it for us. And to be honest, he should have. And I know I'm saying Gallagher probably should have also done better, but so should have Pulisic, and Pulisic more so, because I think his chance was better. The goalkeeper was already down, so that really fucking pissed me off. That was really annoying. But look, it wasn't even like just that. There was a few other chances that went away, and I'm getting really sick of Sterling. He's been decent so far. A lot of people saying, he's best player so far, and that was true maybe for the first 5 to 6 to 7 games. But I just can't watch him play football without getting really annoyed. He's that kind of player that will just hold on just way too long, just to hold on just a little bit too long, and just kind of like won't pass the ball. Pass the ball, because when he does that interplay, when he does take one touch and pass it, he's fucking brilliant, and he knows what he's doing. But he will just hold on to the ball, and he stutters, and his legs wobbling around, and then just instantly runs into a dead end, and then gets the ball dispossessed off him. Like, it's so infuriating to watch. So yeah, there's all that. I think that's how we lost the game, and it's the good and the bad of Graham Potter. But this is to be expected, isn't it? Like, I mean, to be the first game we lose, that's not too bad. We're still up there. We're 6th at the minute, but we've got a game in hand on those in the top 4. Well, not all of them, but some of them. So like we're doing all right. We're doing all right. Everything's okay. Obviously, people see 4-1 and it's Brighton, and people start fucking freaking out. Let's not forget that Brighton are a great side with great players and are 8th. You know what I mean? So like, they're doing better than Liverpool. So everything's okay. Let's not worry too much, shall we? I think the worrying thing is it's the games coming up. Midweek we've got Zagreb, which is we've qualified through the Champions League now, so that'll be a good time to rest players. Definitely think some players deserve a little bit of a break, and some players deserve a little bit of a chance, like that Zakaria who we signed. Who the fuck's that guy? He can he can play. Chalobah, get him in, not Chalobah, sorry, what am I about? Chupomenka, he can get a few more minutes. Broja, get him on, get him playing. Just a great time for get some of the young lads playing, get some of the players that haven't had much minutes playing, and that's perfect and that's fine. And that kind of gives us a break because the games after that are stressful. Let me tell you, the build up to the World Cup. Oh my days, November, man. So we have Arsenal on the next weekend. They're on hot form right now. I'll talk about Arsenal a bit later, but they are in hot form. Me and Josh have done our absolute best to bring them down, and we can't because they're just doing too well. So that's a scary game. Them being where they are, we being where we are. Don't get me wrong, it's going to get exciting, and I'm going to be up for that game. But it's difficult to see a win there. I feel like it might be harsh. I don't know. Then after that, we've got City in the Carabao Cup. It's obviously not the Premier League, but still a competition that we want to be winning. I think you want to win every silverware that you're in, especially for part of being such a young manager. Getting a piece of silverware like the League Cup would be brilliant for his stock. But we've got City. I'm going to that game literally 20 minutes down the road from me. So I'm excited for that game, but also nervous. It's City. City are just a machine, and they love the Carabao Cup. They it's their trophy. So they're going to want to reclaim that off Liverpool. And then after that, we're Newcastle. Newcastle, who are currently fourth, had a great weekend. Again, I'll speak about that a little bit later, but they had a great weekend. That run of fixtures just doesn't look good, does it? And then obviously then the World Cup comes, and it will be rubbish to go into a World Cup, in a bad state. I don't know, like it can be good or bad, can't it? Because the players can go away, have fun with their international clubs. I know players love the international. They meet up with their mates, they play football with the international, they love it. So it could be a good reset button for us, and it'll give Potter a bit of time. But also going into it in a bit of negativity, around the place might not be great. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, scary times. Let's be honest. Right, I'm lucky Call of Duty came out this weekend because I've just been sweating that. So to be honest, I was watching that game, but I was also playing. And I was just watching Brighton batter us, and I was like, this is fun. And I was just playing. Like, oh, this is great. Another one's gone in. Good. Let me level up my gun. Because if not, it would have been a way worse weekend for sure. So thank you, Cad. I really appreciate it. And at the same time as Chelsea getting battered by Brighton, it looked like Tottenham might have been getting battered by Bournemouth. But of course, that didn't happen. I'm going to cut to Josh now because he's got a clip, and it's also he's going to say something which was really annoying when it happened. So go for you, Josh.
Right, so you're just listening to Jay today, and I'm quite sad about that because it was quite a good weekend of football in regards to us two. When Brighton went 2 up, I texted him saying, Graham. And then Tottenham went 1 down, and he replied, Antonio. And that was fun, and I deserved that. And then Tottenham won in the 92nd minute, or the 89th minute, or 92nd. And Chelsea lost 4-1 to Graham Potter's old club, Brighton and Hove Albion. Didn't see that coming. Jay will say, of course we're going to lose to this team. It's the way it works.
It was always going to happen, wasn't it? It was always going to happen. Come on.
No one saw 4-1, did they? No, but we'll do Tottenham. Just want to get out there. We'll do Tottenham. Awful. It could have been more abysmal defending, giving just a giant man room to head shoot and Kiefer Moore. Never good. But we just pulled it out. We did it against Sporting. This time we got the result from that, with some mad goal scorers of Sessegnon, Ben Davies and Bentancur. So all in all, you've got to be happy with a comeback last minute win. That's what football should be, it not being robbed by VAR. But concerning. The bigger worry now is going to Marseille midweek, needing a result there in order to qualify. Scared about that. And then there's Liverpool, a team that has not managed to win away yet, coming to Tottenham. Dr. Tottenham. So yeah, we'll make sure we're around for that, although I do have a wedding. Anyway, but yeah, back to Jay. I hope he has a better day, but I hope his podcast is tinged with sadness. I don't know. I'm sorry, I've got to go. But see you soon, and tell your dads.
Yeah, that was sad. We conceded, and I saw the message, and obviously it was great. It's just giving Tottenham and rival fans fuel and Josh fuel. And then instantly I got a notification saying that they'd conceded to Bournemouth. I was like, okay, come on, Antonio. But yeah, went sour quickly. But as Josh mentioned, Tottenham getting lucky again. They're third with 26 points. And they're riding out some mad luck at the minute, but I feel like the energy around the place is different. It's scary times for them because, of course, you got the midweek Champions League games for them, which is obviously going to be tough because they probably should have already qualified by now. Maybe not. I read the rules, maybe not. But either way, they've got to qualify for that midweek, and then they've got a few extra games. They've got Liverpool coming up, which Liverpool upset Liverpool going to Tottenham. You never know what's going to happen there. They could either capitulate or ruin it. But I feel like they're getting lucky. They're riding their luck at the little bit. So Arsenal and Tottenham are they're both battling it out a little bit at the top of the table. But Arsenal are doing it this really fun way, and Tottenham are doing it the opposite. Not fun at all. But they're still there or thereabouts. And Conte's doing something there which is a bit, it's one of them. It's like you can't really criticise it because they're winning, but it's not looking good. They need to change it. They need to bring a bit more fun into it because, Chelsea under Conte was fun. We'd get 1-0s here and there. We'd get lucky here and there. But the football was fun. We had Hazard. We had Costa. We had the wing backs. Moses was killing it. It was a fun time. So as much as sometimes it was drag, sometimes it wasn't. And then with Tottenham, you feel like right now it's always a drag. Obviously, a last minute winner is going to bring up the spirits, but it feels like a drag. So. Be interesting to see where that goes. And then let's talk about Arsenal. We have to, don't we? Just flying. Just absolutely flying. 5-0 they beat Nottingham Forest, which makes the Liverpool loss to Nottingham way funnier, which is kind of that's the silver lining for you non-Arsenal supporters out there. But they're flying. They're playing fun, fluid football. They're passing it around. They've got a fun, exciting team. It's probably one of the most likeable Arsenal teams I can remember because, as a Chelsea fan, I don't hate Odegaard. I don't hate Saka. I don't hate Martinelli. You know what I mean? They've got great. I used to hate Xhaka, but now I still probably hate Xhaka, but Xhaka's now all of a sudden a good player that doesn't lose his head. What's that about? You can't write what no one would have predicted this, and I feel like on this podcast we've been quick to really go at them, and I think everything we've said has been justified so far. We've been waiting for them to have a test, but they've had a few tests now and they've passed them, so it's just interesting. Can they still do it for the rest of the season? It's still unclear, but if they keep going like this, they'll win the league in a fun way. So let's just hope that doesn't happen. They still have a terrible person playing in midfield though. So moving ahead to City now. City won without Haaland. Haaland injured. I took him out my FPL, which I was pretty happy about. Getting that foresight in a little bit. You know what I mean? Josh didn't take him out. I did. It was both of us gambling, really. So I'm happy I took him out. But they won nonetheless. But it took a little something special from Kevin De Bruyne. A nice free kick, a beautiful free kick, to break down Leicester. And it brings up the question. It's not I'm not going to be one of those, I was going to say pundit, I'm not a pundit, but I'm not going to be one of those football commentators that goes instantly, they're shit without Haaland, because they're not. The City, they've got unbelievable talent, but it raises the question, are they too used to him now? You know what I mean? They bring in, every game you see Haaland on the score sheet twice maybe, and they're battering teams with him. He's not there for 1 second. They need a special free kick. It brings up the question. I don't think that this is the case. I think they are fine without him, but it will be a case of when he's not there, how are they going to get their goals from? It's interesting. It really is interesting. But also, when's Haaland going to be back? Who knows? This has been a problem throughout his career, his injury problem. So who knows about that? And then moving ahead to United, I didn't watch this game. I heard David De Gea. I've obviously watched the highlights. David De Gea had a great game. They get the one goal. Rashford getting his goal, 100th goal, I believe, for United as well. Is that right? Or I've got these goal stats wrong before, so that might make me look well stupid. We'll see in the edit. But don't really care about talking about that much too much. Newcastle battered Villa. Probably time for Gerrard to go. Oh wait, he's gone. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nothing stopping Newcastle at the moment. That's why I'm worried to play them in a few weeks' time, because they're looking great. Like, they're fourth. There's a little asterisk on that fourth because United and Chelsea have a game in hand on them and would jump ahead if winning that game in hand. So that, that's something to look at. But listen, they're flying. Wilson, what a boy. I said last week, as he got an England shout, if it wasn't so close to the World Cup and we had a game to play beforehand, maybe, just maybe, but I think for what's happened prior, Tony and Tammy are kind of just keeping their place for now. But Wilson should be knocking on the door. He's great, but I think his injury problems are what's stopping him as well, because let's face it, he does get injured a lot. He does. It's a shame, and he does. And it'll be interesting to see what will happen to Newcastle if he gets injured, because they do have Almiron in great form. They do have St Maximin knocking about, but without Callum Wilson, that huge threat isn't there. And can they sustain it? And can they get top four? Let me know. Do you think they can get top four? Because I think no one would have thought it at the start of the season, but they're up there with 24 points, giving themselves a great starting chance for after the World Cup to kick on. Who knows? They might even reinvest again in the January transfer window and be even stronger. I definitely think they can get. They'll be knocking on the door for top six, especially with the way big clubs like United, like Chelsea, like Liverpool have all been shaky at times this season, whereas Newcastle have been consistently good. So that's interesting to look at. All right, just at the end now of the podcast, we're going to talk about Liverpool. Let's end it on a high note. Let's end it on a high note, shall we? Because Liverpool lost again to Leeds United. They're currently sitting ninth now, and Leeds were bottom half of the table, bottom like 3 of the table before beating Liverpool. And it's just crazy, man. It's crazy what's happening with Liverpool. It's would have been a hard one to predict. I think in my predictions I might have put them top or second. I can't really remember. Like, really, just it's insane. It's hard to pick apart. I think we've done it over the last couple of weeks. But let's talk about the game. Gomez, to start off, really early doors. Terrible mistake, and similar to the Chelsea thing, making those mistakes, costing your team at the highest level. You can't make these mistakes. And because Leeds pounced on it instantly. Fair play to them. I mean, Gomez, it was just a blind, silly pass to just throw it back to the goalkeeper, like just kind of desperate, to be honest. Like, it didn't need to be. Like, it didn't need to be desperate. Like, you were safe enough. I know Leeds were pressing high, and Leeds are good at that. But yeah, but then Salah scores, and you think to yourself, Liverpool, they're going to get back into it now, aren't they? That's what Liverpool do. Salah scored, mentality, ground, everything. They'll go score another one now, maybe even 2. And that just didn't happen. Leeds stuck at it. Not only that, they had a few chances themselves. They hit the bar. The sound off that, beautiful, just rattled the bar, didn't it? But then, yeah, they stayed at it. Kept themselves in it. Nunes had a lot of chances, and Meslier just honestly had a great goalkeeping performance. Nunes probably could have and should have had a hat-trick if it weren't for Meslier being brilliant in that moment, just absolutely charging them down, getting in and just pulling out some brilliant saves. Nunes could have had a hat-trick. And listen, Nunes is getting a lot of stick at the minute, I think. I don't know if it's rightly or wrongly, because he's not performing what you'd want an £80 million striker to perform. I think Liverpool fans are defending him like he's not that price. They're they're talking about how he's got time to develop and he's young and blah, 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 which is all fair enough, but he's £80 million. This is what happened to Kai Havertz, and listen, we still give Kai Havertz a bit of shit for this, but he was £75-80 million and didn't hit the ground running, and it was stressful. But obviously Chelsea fans say he's young, blah, blah, blah. But you're still going to get ridiculed for that, and Nunes is going to get ridiculed for that. But that being said, I think it's quite harsh because he's been quite unlucky. I think this game, the goalkeeper turned up. He's showing promise, and he will be a good striker. I just don't know if Liverpool are playing to his strengths. I think when you buy a striker, look at City, you have to play towards that kind of the way of playing. Chelsea didn't do that with Lukaku, and look what happened there. I mean, Lukaku had his problems as well, and I didn't like his attitude, but we didn't really play to his strengths, and it really forced him out of the game. And if Nunes is going to keep playing, they need to play off of him and a little bit better. But that kind of comes to the recruitment of Liverpool, which is another big problem. Like, if Klopp doesn't want to play to that system with a striker, then why did they buy Nunes? Did Klopp want to buy him, or did the board want to buy him? And then, you talk about Liverpool, their midfield. Klopp always says, no, we've got the players we need in midfield. We have Alexander-Arnold and Milner. You don't have the midfield you need to compete at the highest level. The midfield engine is gone. We used that analogy last week with the engine and the gun trip around Europe. They are out here and cold and done, and they need revamping. And the owners are deciding to buy a striker instead. I don't know. It's difficult. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what the problem here is. Liverpool, I think there's a multitude of problems. Like, you've got the engine room being busted. You've got the striker that's, can he score? Is he up to the level of it? They've lost Mane. They've run out of steam after last season. There's so much going on with Liverpool right now. It's a bit of a mess. I think now, currently sat in ninth, they've given themselves a terrible start to the season. They're probably hoping just to get to the World Cup at this point, kind of unscathed and in the top half of the league, and then come into the new year and just try and do something about it. But I don't think they can get Champions League football now after this. I think, they're going to really struggle. They should probably be aiming for Europa now. But is that, what's that? Is that a failure from Klopp? I don't know. You tell me. That's it. That is me done for this week's podcast. I really appreciate you watching or listening, whatever you're doing. We're bringing out a podcast every single Monday about the football. World Cup's coming up. Big content coming for the World Cup. We're going to figure out a little bit of a plan. Let us know, actually, if you watch this, if you listen to this, let us know what you want to see for the World Cup, because this is it's a two-way street here. What do you want to see? Do you want to see a weekly podcast for the World Cup like we've been doing? Do you want to see smaller videos throughout the week? Let us know. I really appreciate it if you did. And also, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000. It's that milestone we've wanted for a while. We feel as close as we ever have. We've picked up the channel again. We're going a little bit steam. The podcast is in full force, and we want that 1,000. And it'd mean the world to us. It really would. So if you haven't unsubscribed, please do. And yeah, that's me done. I love you. I'm gonna leave you, and as always, tell your dads.